That's Tampa Bay. Love Tampa Bay, by the way.
Lots of water.
Water.
Lots of water.
And I'm from New York, so I'll take your order. All right.
I want coffee.
And get some coffee. All right, we continue our breaking news coverage of James Comey. He's going to need more than coffee because he's under indictment, as we've been reporting. Comey indicted on 2 counts, one for making a false statement, another for obstructing a congressional proceeding. Attorney General Pam Bondi weighing in, saying, quote, "No one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects this Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people." We're going to follow. Listen to me, I'm just ad-libbing. We will follow the facts in this case, is what you
David,
said.
there's a prompter right there.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of prompters, you can tell. By the way, let's play one of the exchanges in question between Comey and then the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, in 2017. This is why he's, in essence, under indictment. This is what happened. Take a look.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
He may want to rethink that answer,
Yeah.
FYI.
Yeah.
For more, let's bring in Pastor and North Carolina Congressman Mark Harris, who's with us here on the show. Congressman, Comey had a chance for a redo in September of 2020 with Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz said, "You sure you want to say that?" And Comey said the exact same thing. Good morning. What do you make of what's happening? This is historic.
Well, good morning, David and Dr. Gina. Thank you so much for having me this morning. This is historic, and I think that Pam Bondi's statement says it all, and I think it was my first reaction when I heard the news. No one is above the law. And I think as we have seen things continue to come out over the last several months, just information, email that were found and all these things, we have just continued to see the documentation that is backing up that this was one of the worst attempts to undermine a presidency that we have seen in our lifetime. And I think it is this is just maybe the tip of the spear of what we're going to see as this continues to unfold.
Absolutely. We are now also 4 days away from a potential government shutdown. And President Trump says if it happens, the Democrats are to blame. Take a look at this.
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now, we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that. Big thing. They want to open borders again after what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want.
Congressman, the Democrats are really in a bad place, almost between a rock and a hard place, if you will, because Americans aren't going to vote for them. They are a godless, crime, pro-crime party at this point. So they have to import voters. So they can't back down on this, can they?
Well, I don't think they can. However, I mean, it is a message that the American people have got to make sure that they're understanding. I mean, I've said this before. In November of 2024, Americans made a decision that they wanted to do government differently. And they sent Donald Trump back to the White House. They gave him a majority in the U.S. House. They gave him a majority in the United States Senate. And we've been working over these 9 months to make some dramatic changes and begin to move our nation forward again, trying to overcome all of the chaos that was created during the prior administration. And one of the things that we did for the first time in history is we managed to cut $1.6 trillion in mandatory spending, first time in history, because we recognize that our nation is in a fiscal crisis when you look at a $37 trillion debt. And so as we work through that, we now get to this point in time where all the Democrats have is to really, it's extortion. They're saying to the president, we want $1 trillion of money reinstated, all of that put back in. Otherwise, we're gonna shut the government down. I think it's a travesty. I think the American people have got to understand this is going to be a Chuck Schumer shutdown if we get to that point. But I applaud the president. You know, he canceled a meeting that was going to happen earlier this week because he realized that they're being unreasonable. They're wanting us to put illegals on our healthcare rolls and keep them there. They're wanting to go back on all of the things that we did in the working families tax cut bill, and it's just atrocious. And the bottom line is the things that the American people wanted, even through the DOGE cuts, those things that we were able to do in cutting NPR and those kind of expenses, that American people just don't want their money going to all of these things that DOGE discovered it was going to, and now they're wanting much of that money reinstated in order to keep the government open. And it's ridiculous, and they're going to have to own this if they choose to shut it down. We did what we were called to do. We passed the CR last Friday to allow us to get to November 21st so that we can continue to pass appropriation bills and get the work done. But if they shut the government down, they're going to have to own this.
All right. So since you're a preacher, I'm going to get you to preach. I'm just curious if you are going to be delivering a sermon either Sunday or maybe even they might need it, maybe even with your colleagues at the House. And if so, what is your sermon going to be? Let's start with this Sunday. And if you were to preach before your colleagues in the House, what might you preach to them?
Well, listen, I would say that what I just shared with you is probably preaching. I don't know. But again, to my colleagues in the House, I do continue to say that we've got to realize that we were sent to Washington to help preserve this republic, to preserve our future for our children and our grandchildren. And we've got to make tough decisions, but we've got to do what's right along the way. And I think this is a critical moment in time. And I think we've got to put the pressure right back. As far as what I'm preaching this Sunday, I'm preaching a series through the Gospel of John, and I'll be in John chapter 12, and we'll be continuing just looking at that important passage to just understand the truths and the principles of God's word that speaks into our heart so much, particularly verse 31 through 36, looking as Jesus takes folks to the cross.
All right.
Wow. Congressman Harris, thanks for being part of the new black-robed regiment out there. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you. It's always an honor to be with y'all.
All right, sounds good. Have a great weekend. Coming up, the Make America Healthy Again team continues making waves across the country. We're going to break down their latest roundtable on autism straight ahead on American Sunrise.